Well, welcome back. Um, I'll tell you what, nothing this week has gone particularly smooth. There always seems to be an issue. Apparently, the memory on my phone is getting full. So there's an SD card in there that's supposed to be able to handle it, but something's not working right. So I'll have to figure that out too. I'm going to try to pick up right where I left off. We are on March 20th. This is our video lesson part 2. We should be taking some notes on this. So I had a little bit to finish up. So I believe I left off on the other video, or where it cut out on the other video, was this third layer down on the physical property side. And so this layer is called the mesosphere. Mesosphere, M-E-S-O-S-P-H-E-R-E. When you look at different references, some references don't use the name mesosphere, they just call it the lower mantle. I like the idea of having a different name, and some references do use this word mesosphere, so that we can isolate this side, or separate this side from this side. I'm going to go with that. As far as properties, this is the one that I find the least information written about in the videos and things that I've read. So it's basically, it's rock, so that's getting back to composition. It's ultramafic rock. It's hot, dense, and slightly fluid. That's supposed to be fluid. The D's not writing. I'm off my board. Hot, dense, slightly fluid. So it's basically solid rock, but under the pressures and temperatures in the earth, even this rock moves very, very slowly over time. But it doesn't move nearly as easily as the rock in the asthenosphere. Okay, so that's how that one separates. So now we get to our core, and we're going to refer to the outer core, and we're going to refer to the inner core. And when we looked at composition, we know that the core is made of metal, mostly iron. So the difference between outer and inner core is the outer core is liquid. The inner core is solid. Liquid metal, solid metal. So again, the differences on this side are based on physical property. Well, state of matter, solid versus liquid, that's a difference. Now, as you get into the earth, the further you go, the hotter it gets. And you might be wondering, well, if the hottest part of the earth is the inner core, how come that's a solid, but the part outside of it is melting? And we have to consider pressure when we're talking about that. So, imagine we've got a pile of students. Okay? So here's our pile of students. And think about pressure. Okay? The student on the tap, they got it pretty easy. The student that's one or two down, they're being squeezed a little bit. This guy on the bottom is in trouble. Okay? He's not going to make it. The more you pile up on top of you, the more pressure you're under. Well, that's happening in the earth. And if we go back to our diagram, you see that, this outer core, it's hot, but it's not under as much pressure as this. And apparently at this pressure, the atoms can still move around enough that it can go into the liquid state. This stuff is being squeezed so hard that the atoms just can't move around. And if the atoms can't move around, that's what we call a solid. So, outer core and inner core, liquid, solid. Reviewing those layers one more time, the lithosphere, hard, brittle rock. Asthenosphere, this is the kind of fluid layer. Some of it's even partially melted, but even the rock that is solid it's under such temperature conditions that it squeezes and moves around a little bit. Mesosphere, hot, dense, slightly fluid rock. Liquid metal, solid metal. All right, so here's what I'm going to finish with. I'm going to be having you do a project, and I don't have the instructions to you yet, but what I'm going to do here is say, these are the materials I need you to try to come up with, okay? Hopefully you can find something that'll work for all these. So, what do you need? You need 3 sheets of paper, just regular printer paper, copy paper. Scratch paper will be fine, as long as you got one side that's blank. You need some Scotch tape to attach the paper together. It'd be great if you could find a yardstick or some other straight edge, just a long straight edge. You've got something that's a couple feet long. We can get by without it if you don't have that. I really hope everybody can find a ruler. Great if it's metric. So your typical rulers that you have for class, it's a foot long ruler, but it's got inches on one side and it's got centimeters on the other. This is easier if we have the centimeter side. See what you got. If you don't have a ruler at home, maybe there's a tape measure out in the garage. Maybe there's a sewing box somewhere and you have a fabric tape somewhere. Find some sort of ruler. You're going to need a piece of string. If you can find a piece of string that's a yard long, that's plenty. Something like that. I said if you got an old shoe laying around and you take out the shoelace, that would probably work. Okay? And you're going to need a pencil. So I'm giving you the assignment of just try to gather those things together. So today you should have taken notes on that little bit that we talked about with the 2 videos. You're going to gather these materials together for an upcoming project and go back and look at the assignments for the week. Is there anything that you haven't completed that you should be completing? We got a weekend coming up. Hopefully you can enjoy your weekend. I've heard from some students that they're bored. Find something creative to do. Build something. Make something. I know I got lots of things that I want to do. It's a tough time. It's a tough time. I understand that. If you're having any trouble, please let me know. If you know of a classmate who is having trouble accessing materials and maybe I haven't heard from them, help me out. Let me know. Let me know what their problem is. Take care of each other. Stay safe. Hope to see you all soon.